Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. If you're a diehard Lions fan or just someone who loves digging into the real stories behind the NFL headlines, then you're in for a treat, because today's topic is one of those stories that isn't blowing up yet, but absolutely should be. There's a name that keeps popping up behind the scenes, a name that's gaining traction among scouts, draft analysts, and even a few NFL insiders, but hasn't made its way into the mainstream yet. Not until now. We're talking about Arianti Urzuri, the mammoth offensive tackle out of Minnesota who may just be on Detroit's radar as a potential stealth pickup in this year's NFL draft. Now, there's no official confirmation, not yet. But when you start connecting the dots, reading between the lines of draft visits, team needs, long-term planning, and player profiles, you start to realize this might not just be smoke. There could be real fire here. And if that's the case, Arianti Urzuri might be the most important non-first-round name that Lions fans need to start paying attention to right now. Let's start with what we know about the player himself. Urzuri isn't your typical mid-round flyer. He's 6'6", 331 pounds, and moves with the kind of fluidity you'd expect from someone 40 pounds lighter. His 1.75-second 10-yard split is elite for someone his size, and it shows up on tape, especially when he's asked to pull, get to the second level, or mirror speedy edge rushers off the snap. That blend of power, length, and athleticism makes him one of the more intriguing developmental linemen in this year's draft class. But it's not just the measurables. Urzuri started 3 years for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. That's not nothing. We're talking about a guy who has been battle-tested in the Big Ten, a conference known for churning out NFL-ready trench talent on both sides of the ball. Week in, week out, Urzuri was going up against high-level pass rushers and holding his ground. He wasn't just a body, he was a force. Coaches loved him. Teammates respected him. And by the end of his final year, he was named Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year, a title that carries real weight when you consider the competition. So, how does this connect to the Lions? Well, let's look at the big picture. On paper, Detroit's offensive tackle situation looks rock solid. Penei Sewell is, let's be honest, arguably the best right tackle in the NFL today. He's still just 24 years old and only getting better. Taylor Decker, meanwhile, is coming off a Pro Bowl season and is under contract through 2027. No red flags there, right? But here's where things get interesting. Decker is about to turn 32. That's not ancient by offensive line standards, but it is the point in a tackle's career where teams start quietly preparing for what's next, even if the player is still performing at a high level. Injuries accumulate. Recovery slows. Performance starts to fluctuate. And when you're trying to build a contender, and let's be clear, that's exactly what the Lions are doing right now. You don't wait for the cliff to come. You get ahead of it. Behind Sewell and Decker, the Lions re-signed Dan Skipper, who brings versatility and veteran leadership. They're also hoping that Giovanni Manu, last year's raw but promising fourth-round pick, makes a jump in his second year. And Jamarco Jones adds some depth and experience. But none of those guys, not even Manu, are guaranteed to be long-term solutions, especially if Decker starts to show signs of wear or if injuries strike at the wrong time. So what's the smart move? You find a guy now, someone with upside, versatility, and raw tools, and you give him time to develop. You get him into your system early, let him learn behind two of the best, and give yourself the option to pivot if and when the time comes. That's where Arianti Urzuri comes in. We've heard that the Lions are doing their due diligence on offensive line prospects who can play both guard and tackle, a trait that has become increasingly valuable in today's NFL. Urzuri checks that box. While he played mostly at tackle in college, there's belief among scouts that he could start his NFL career on the interior, giving him a chance to see the field sooner while learning the nuances of the pro game. Could the Lions be considering using him as an interior swing lineman early, with the idea of moving him outside in year 2 or 3? That wouldn't be unusual. It's a formula we've seen other teams use successfully. Get your young lineman comfortable with NFL speed and power inside, then transition him outside once he's adjusted and ready. For Urzuri, it could be the ideal trajectory, and for Detroit, it could be the perfect long-term succession plan for Taylor Decker. Let's not forget, this isn't just a guy with raw traits. Urzuri is polished. He uses his length well in pass protection, resets his hands quickly, and doesn't panic when he gets out of position, a common trait for college tackles. He keeps his pad level low, anchors well against bull rushes, and understands leverage in the run game. In short, he plays like a pro already, and with NFL coaching, he could blossom into a legitimate starter, maybe even more. Here's something else to consider: culture fit. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have been very intentional about building a team culture rooted in toughness, accountability, and unselfishness. That's not just talk. It's the foundation of everything they've done in Detroit over the past few years. And guess what kind of player Ursary is? He's a grinder. A no-ego, high-effort film room junkie who just wants to hit people and protect his quarterback. Minnesota coaches speak highly of his attitude, his football IQ, and his willingness to do whatever the team needs. He's not flashy. He's not loud. He's just reliable. And in a league full of distractions, that's gold. Now let's talk strategy. The Lions aren't desperate for a tackle. That's why no one's really talking about this. But imagine this scenario. Detroit trades back in the draft, picks up an extra day 2 or day 3 pick, and quietly scoops up Ursary in the 3rd or 4th round. No huge headlines. No media circus. Just a well-executed move that gives them flexibility, depth, and a possible starter in the wings. Could that be the plan? Is Brad Holmes eyeing Ursary as a draft day steal? Some whispers from league sources suggest the Lions have Ursary graded higher than public draft boards do. And when Holmes sees value where others don't, he pounces. Let's not forget what happened with Amon-Ra St. Brown, or Malcolm Rodriguez, or even Penei Sewell himself, a player the Lions locked in on from day one and never looked back. Detroit's front office has a track record now. And if Ursary's name pops up on their draft card this year, don't be surprised. So, what would this mean for the team? It means security. It means succession planning. It means the Lions are thinking beyond just 2025. They're thinking about 2026, 2027, and beyond. They're building a foundation that lasts. And that's how championship windows stay open. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think? Should the Lions take a swing on a guy like Arianti Ursary, a high-upside, tough-as-nails offensive lineman who could be the future at left tackle? Personally, I think this is the exact kind of move smart franchises make. You don't wait for a need to hit you in the face. You get out in front of it. You stash talent before it's urgent. And you make sure the next man up is already in your building, learning the ropes, soaking it all in. That's how dynasties are built. Quietly. Intentionally. Let me know what you think in the comments. I seriously can't wait to read your takes on this one. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and tap that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the action. We've got more draft buzz, roster rumors, and in-depth breakdowns coming your way all off-season long. Thanks for watching, and as always, one pride, baby. Let's go.